First of all, thank you very much for the organizing committee of Asian Science Camp for the invitation to give a talk on this palm oil. I have titled this talk that palm oil is God's gift to the world. My objective of this talk is twofold. One is to give the many up-and-coming students and young executives a glimpse of the palm oil industry. Secondly, and also the careers that are open. And secondly, at the end of this talk, I hope you will be able to appreciate the title of that palm oil is indeed a God gift to the world. Okay, let me first start the talk by giving you an overview of the palm oil industry, which is a sustainable industry for meeting the future needs. As you know, you can see from the picture, the palm oil is indeed a very special tree, a crop. Within the fruit of the palm oil tree is two different types of oil. The outer layer, which is the orange layer, is what we call the mesocarp. This is where the palm oil comes from. And the white part of the fruit is the palm kernel. And the palm kernel produces the lauric oil, which is the same as coconut oil. The NGOs have been questioning the sustainability of the palm oil industry in great detail. But I think to be sustainable, it has to be a benefit to the planet, the people, and to the company to generate enough profits for the company to operate. The palm oil industry came to Malaysia from West Africa. The seeds was taken to Indonesia, planted in Bogor, and from Bogor, that is in Sumatra, it was taken to Malaysia. And this year is also the 100-year anniversary of the palm oil industry in Malaysia. The 100 year of commercial planting in Malaysia. As you can see, there are many milestones, which unfortunately the writing is quite small. But from a small infant industry, it has now grown to be one of the largest industry in the country of Malaysia and also Indonesia. I'll come back to this point. Let me give you a macro picture first of the global oils and fats scenario. In the whole world, the oils and fats are made up of 17 major oils and fats. Some are minor, 17 oils and fats. Some are major, some are minor. And this is the global production of oils and fats. As you can see, palm oil has got a significant share. Palm oil has a very significant share, nearly 30%. We are now bigger than soybean oil. This is this position is palm oil is leading, soybean is next, followed by rapeseed oil, sunflower oil, a bit of animal fats, and a lot of minor oils like coconut oil, linseed oil, flaxseed oil, and the others. But in terms of exports of global oils and fats, this is the world trade in the oils and fats, the palm oil has a very dominant position. Nearly 55% of all the oils and fats traded in the world, that means exported from one country to another, consists of palm oil. This is because in many of the oil-producing countries like United States, Brazil, a good part of their production is being used for their own consumption, China included. So in terms of the global consumption of oils and fats, is about the same ratio as I've indicated. And the whole world production is about 202 million tons of oils and fats a year, growing at a rate of about 4% a year, 3 to 4% a year. You can see how the palm oil industry has grown from the 1990 to this slide shows 2005, but it's grown even more than that. It's a very old slide. So from a very small base, palm oil has taken a pole position in the oils and fats. And because of this success, I think naturally many countries are quite jealous of our position of the palm oil. And the success of palm oil is due to one fact. Number one, if we look at the productivity in terms of oil use, compared with our competitors' oil, in per hectare basis, palm oil here, this is the world average, palm oil produces 3.6 tons. Soybean produces 0.4, now maybe 0.5 tons. Sunflower 6.7 tons, rapeseed oil 0.8 tons. So we have an inherent advantage to the other oilseeds. So this is a very major advantage of palm oil. In Malaysia, the palm oil industry was developed mainly in the 60s. The rapid development takes place in the 60s and the 70s, where there was rapid conversion of oil palm from the rubber land, because oil palm uses fewer workers than rubber. And of course, we have our FELDA scheme opening in Malaysia. In terms of the palm oil production currently, Indonesia has overtaken us. So Indonesia is number one, number two is Malaysia, and of course the balance consists of some African and the American countries, South American countries. But Indonesia and Malaysia produces 85% of the world's palm oil production. This slide shows the growth of the palm oil industry over the years. You can see it has grown from a very small base in Malaysia to 5.7 million hectares. Fantastic growth. And this growth is also equally spread out in Sarawak and Sabah. For Malaysia, the big success story that all of us know is that of FELDA. FELDA is a government organization that was set up for poverty eradication and for rural development. It was set up in the late 1960s by our late Prime Minister Tun Razak, and it has been a great success using funds from the World Bank, and is one of the huge success of the World Bank scheme for alleviating poverty. So now you can see I'll show some later about the before and after that. But just as a sidetrack, just want to highlight to you our earnings of palm oil in Malaysia amounts to between 65 to 70 billion ringgit a year. It consists of about 7 to 8% of our GDP. But of course, this is a small figure compared to manufactured products. But for palm oil, there are two factors. One, the multiplier effect is very huge, is very widespread. So whenever the palm oil price goes up, you can see that the rural areas within Malaysia is booming. And the other fact is that in terms of value added, it is a very big portion of the export value is domestic value added. Other than importing fertilizers, a bit of machinery overseas, and now a bit of labor, the rest is from the land and from the sunshine given by God. Here's a picture of FELDA, the first settler's house when FELDA started in the 1960s. A lot of them were in the rural areas. A lot of them were from the conversion from the jungle, and these are some samples of the homes that they stay in. Fast forward today, you can see the transformation that the palm oil has made to FELDA. So let me just talk a little bit about the industry. It is indeed a zero-waste industry. We use the energy is self-sufficient. In fact, we have an energy surplus. We export a lot of biomass. We use the biomass to make many other products other than palm oil and palm kernel oil. The palm oil consists actually of trees, consists of the 10% oil, 90% biomass. So we have a huge amount of biomass which we are yet to exploit. A picture of the palm oil industry. I'll now show some quick slide about what the plantations and the challenges we have. First, ground covers are extremely important for the sustainability of this industry because we want to maximize the soil preservation, minimize the erosion with the good ground covers, and also with the high carbon value from the legumes and other ground covers is also very beneficial to the microbes underneath. We recycle the byproduct, the empty bunch, back to the field as a fertilizer, and there are some nutrients value of the fertilizer. We also recycle the effluent from the processing back into the fields through different methods. We use buffalo in many of the estates to increase productivity rather than a wheelbarrow, and also machines. Biodiversity is very important. We have a lot of rats in the plantations, but we try to control them with barn house. We even breed our own barn house so that it can take care of the rat population. These are only a few pictures of the plantation industry, but I hope that some of you will get some chance to visit the plantation industry. I'll go to this slide first. But the palm oil industry is not really without this problem. The biggest problem affecting the palm oil industry is our stagnating oil palm yields. We've been running about 4 tons per hectare for the last 10 years. While the genetic modified materials of oilseeds like soybeans, rapeseed, they have been having gains of 10% in productivity in just the last 5 years alone, or even more. But the scientists tell us that our oil palm is capable of yielding, instead of 4 tons, even up to 8 tons. And this has been reached in certain commercial plantings. So there's a lot of room for us to go in improving ourselves. The other problem we have is workers' productivity. Unlike the oilseeds, where one machine can take 1,000 hectares, our labor ratio is 1 person to 8 hectares in Malaysia. So we need a lot of workers, and a good portion of workers are foreign workers nowadays. But within the estate itself, we provide housing, free hospital care, free water, free electricity, and all the benefits of the rural setting. So our workers does indeed earns much higher than the minimum wage. Our objective now, of course, to reduce increase the productivity of the workers by 50% within the next 5 years. The palm oil fruits is then processed in big palm oil mills such as this, and irregular of the mills. And in our countries alone, we have nearly 500 mills. And one of the things we use from the effluent is to convert the methane into biogas. Biogas that we use for our own electricity within the complex, for our own workers' housing, and also to reduce the biomass that we use for energy, so that our surplus palm kernel shells biomass are being sold to the rest of the industry within Malaysia for their energy needs. This is a biogas plant that produces 3 megawatt of electricity from one of the palm oil mills, the bigger palm oil mills. We use big gas engines that can generate 1 megawatt per mill. 1 megawatt per engine, sorry. Next, let me go to R&D. R&D is a very key aspect of the plantation industry for us to move forward. We do a lot of breeding. We do a lot of cloning through tissue culture. What we do is that we also clone the mother palms, so that what we call the semi-clonal planting materials, that means from the same mother, some of the same mother clones, but the population from a single father. We call it semi-clonal clones, to have more consistency and to produce higher yields. The tissue culture cloning process, I believe, is an opportunity to many of the students here There are challenges, but currently this lab alone produces about 750,000 seedlings a year. We are actually trying to do the liquid culture, which will enable the production to go up by 5 or 6 times the amount of tissue culture material. We use molecular markings for identifying the menthol palms, for thick shells, and all those things. And this is a picture of the clonal palms that we have planted in one of our estates. The benefit of clonal palms is its uniformity, higher yield, very high extraction rate, 20% higher extraction rate than the normal breeding material, 10 to 15%. Any breeding, we have still many challenges upon us. We produces the Hybrida 1S, the picture on the left. That is the semi-clonal palm. And we also have very precocious hybrids that's got very high yields, you can see. We are also breeding for long stalks. We are also breeding for another species called the F1 hybrid of the Olifera, Olifera times the Genesis. Because the Genesis material that we planted solely in the Malaysian area is susceptible to bud rot, which has wiped off this material in South America. So we are doing a lot of R&D to prepare ourselves. Usage of drones to capture images, to deliver chemicals to the specific plants. All these are the trials going on. Beneficial microbes. I think this is a very, very big area that I was talking with Professor Dr. Yong. And is for the control of the disease. Ganoderma is a major disease affecting this country in our oil palm here. They can wipe off 15% to 20% of our palms within as short a period as 10 years. So we are breeding for biocontrol using microbes. We are also looking at microbes to do nitrogen fixing, phosphate things, soil fertility. This is because 1/3 of our cost of production of palm oil is in fertilizers. If we can reduce the fertilizer, the inorganic fertilizer by 30%, our cost of production will go down by 10%. We do a lot of work in research with different things, bagworms control, biological control of pests, and the whole host. And it's still in its infancy, this research, but there's a lot more to be done. Now a little bit to the usage of palm oil. Palm oil, as you know, is a semi-solid fat. It is a very unusual thing because the saturated fats is mainly palmitic acid. Unlike the other animal fats, the palmitic acid is, although it's saturated fats, is reckoned by the WHO as a neutral fatty acids to cholesterol and to human health. But the other unsaturated fats are mainly monounsaturated fats, which is the same as olive oil. So in palm oil, we have a lot of monounsaturated fats, which is considered to be very desirable now as compared with the polyunsaturated fats. So we can fractionate into the hard liquid fraction and also the more solid fraction. The liquid fraction is mainly used for cooking, deep frying, and in general usage, the solid fraction of stearin mainly go into things like confectionery fats, cocoa butter substitute, cocoa butter equivalent, and many other uses for confectioneries or chocolates or for coatings, fillings, for making transfree baking solid fats. The biggest thing that changed the palm oil industry is the Key-Anderson theory of concerning saturated fats. It was believed in the past that saturated fats are bad for you. But now, with recent research, now they are saying that, number one, not all saturated fats are the same. Number two, saturated fats can be consumed in a healthy manner. And the biggest advantage of palm oil is the ability to produce transfree fats. Liquid oils, when you make into solid fats, have to undergo the process of hydrogenation. And in the process of hydrogenation, the carbon chain of cis trans have been changed. And that's why they call it the palm oil. When you use the palm oil, especially palm stearin, you do not need hydrogenation to produce the solid fats. And we call it trans-free fats or margarine. Trans fatty acid is the worst kind of fatty acids you can use. In Denmark, Canada, trans fatty acid has been banned from all food. And only a few years ago, the FDA of the United States have limited the use of trans fatty acid. These are one of the biggest user of palm oil for food. Bigger user is the Ferrero brand in Nutella. Ferrero has found that with not using palm oil, the texture of their Nutella, the texture is different. So they have been one of our most loyal consumer of palm oil. And they've got a huge research backing. And this brand is one of the largest in the world. The other usage of palm is for deep frying medium. 95% of the instant noodle in the world is being fried with palm oil for two reasons. One, shelf life is much longer, and the crispness is, the texture is so much better. The reason for palm oil, as I said, is the taste. It absorbs less oil. It's got a longer shelf life due to the major micronutrients in palm oil. This is a table of the major phytonutrients in palm oil. Two main ingredients, Tocotrienols and keratin. Let me talk about the keratin first. The keratin in palm oil is 15% more than in carrots. It is the color that causes the red color in the palm oil. It's been used, it's a precursor of vitamin A, is the food with the highest content of vitamin A in the world. But unfortunately, many of consumers want a white color oil. And that's why in the process of producing the white color oil, the keratin is unfortunately been destroyed. But now many companies are having process to extract the keratin from the palm oil. main people are the Lion, the Japanese Lion Corporation, has for many years extracted carotenoids from the palm oil. The other major phytoingredients is Tocotrienols. Tocotrienols and tocopherols are classified as vitamin E, but it's very different. Tocotrienols are only found in monocotyledons bacteria, rice, palm oil, and palm oil is again one of the richest sources of tocotrienols. Tocotrienols, the red color is tocotrienols, the yellow color is tocopherol. Tocotrienols is 50 times more potent as an antioxidant than tocopherol. A lot of research has been done with tocotrienols, although vitamin E is still in its infant in terms of usage. But one of the most, I'll just mention one of the prominent research findings of tocotrienols. This is done by Dr. Chandran in Ohio State University for many, many years. Dr. Chandran works on rats and later he moved to mammals. The mammals have been given artificial induced stroke in mammals, and when you have a stroke, you have a very big lesion in the brain. But those animals that have been fed with tocotrienols have remarkably reduced lesion, and the lesion recovers much, much faster. So many of the stroke patients nowadays have been recommended by their doctors to take tocotrienol pills. And this is an example of tocotrienols where we extract up to 98% purity in some of our chemical plants, and we think this is for the future. This is a very major thing for the palm industry going forward. Let me go to the other part of palm oil usage. About 80% is in the food usage. About 10 to 15% is used in what we call the oleochemicals. That means the chemicals from oil. In the chemicals from the oil, we take it's an integrated process where we take the palm oil produced or the palm kernel oil produced, make basic oleochemicals or specialty chemicals or phytonutrients itself, and we use it for many of the consumer products in the world that will be shown, examples will be shown a bit later. So this slide shows you the process of what we can do with the palm oil, split into fatty acids, glycerol, to metasters, to alcohols, to amides, to fatty amides, to a whole list of chemicals, MES, sulfonated chemicals, all those things. It's used in the world as lubricants, biodiesel, textile and leather auxiliaries like ethyl stearate, converters, polymers, agricultural chemicals, and a whole list of things. Also in personal care, nutraceuticals, detergents, cleaning agents. So, Asia has a very dominant share of oleochemicals. And most of the oil used by oleochemicals industries are indeed from palm oil, palm kernel oil, or coconut oil. These are some of the real-life examples that we can see in our daily lives: soaps, detergents, biodiesel, hair oil, surfactants in your cosmetics, emulsifiers. So this has spawned a whole range of big business around the world. This will give you an idea of our factories around the world where we do the various oleochemicals that Malaysian companies now have plants in Europe, United States, China, of course, domestically here, and Indonesia. So it is indeed a very big industry. A snapshot of biodiesel, as I said, which is major usage here, major usage in Malaysia and Indonesia, and also in Brazil, Argentina, United States, Europe. We can do sulfonated methyl ester, which is a substitute for the petrochemicals, Lina alkyl benzene, LABS. So I hope this gives you a glimpse for chemical engineers, for chemists, of the type of things that you can embark on within the palm oil industry. Let me finally go into 2 points. One is that why is the palm oil industry so special? Number one, it's a highly regulated industry. NGOs are always on our backs for sustainability issues. We have a whole list of laws within this country concerning everything: occupational safety, labor laws, and the DOE, Department of Environment, and all those things. Already. And palm oil is the only oil in the world that has a round table of sustainability. That means the various stakeholders come together to demand regulations for making this industry highly sustainable, together with the producers, together with the stakeholders in the country, within the country operation, and the NGOs, the customers, the Unilever, and Procter & Gamble, and the big giants and Nestle, and all those things. What makes us so special? If you look at this, of all the world agricultural land, 4.9 billion hectares, the biggest use is under livestock. Palm oil usage of this whole land in the world is only 0.37%. 0.37%. Oilseeds uses 5.21% of the agricultural land. And yet, we produces 1/3 of the world oils and fats. So, this is indeed a very, very sustainable industry for the world. For the future of expansion of oils and fats, if we are going to convert more land, produce more of the oils and fats through the oilseeds route, we are going to use much more land. And agricultural land is getting in short supply within this region. But within this, we can also see that Malaysia, our forest cover is over 50%, despite having this huge amount despite being a major producer of palm oil. But yet, every day we face this. The NGOs attack with unsubstantiated, unwarranted, and non-scientific evidences. So the only route that we go through is through our certification routes. so that we can actually convey the truth of palm oil, that indeed palm oil is a very sustainable oil. And also we get things like this, no palm oil labels in the products, especially in Europe. This is due to, I think, a lot of lack of knowledge about the palm oil industry. But in conclusion, there must be a purpose besides making money, besides making profits, besides doing things for the palm oil industry. I think the main satisfaction in the palm oil industry comes from this: people. People. As we develop land, as we convert the people, you can see this is a picture of our operations in Liberia, of the hope for the next generation of the people there. Because in Liberia, there's no school, no medical facilities, nothing, zero. Is a hope for this. And everywhere when palm oil goes, we bring with us good medical facilities for the people, clean water, good housing for the plantations, for the workers, and all those things. And I think the most important for us is, together in the palm oil industry, we try to build community. Community between the people working in the industry from all levels, from the marketing to the research, to the scientists, to the chemists, and all those things, that we work together with a purpose, to enrich the life and indeed to make this world a more sustainable world, and for the world to benefit from to make the oils and fats, affordable oil and fats for many of the countries that cannot afford the high price of oils and fats. So with that, thank you very much.